Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I see some familiar faces on here. Glad to see y'all. All right, giving everybody a second to connect to audio before we get started. All right, looks like everybody's good to go. So welcome, everyone. My name is Sarah Lorenzen, and this is the OKMM Make It Count webinar for December 2023. And this is one of my favorite of our topics, which is goal setting. Because really, I could teach you all of those skills, but if you don't have goals that you're trying to work towards, what are those skills good for? So let's go ahead and get started. If you have never attended one of these before, let me take a second just to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Lorenzen. I'm a certified financial education instructor and an outreach specialist for Oklahoma Money Matters, which is the financial literacy education initiative out of the Oklahoma College Assistance Program and the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education. That is a lot of words to basically say that I spend most of my time traveling all over the state of Oklahoma, talking to students and nonprofits and businesses about managing their money. And it is something I definitely love to do. This Make It Count webinar is something that we started in 2020 during the pandemic, and you guys have loved it so much that we have continued doing it. I'm so glad that we are able to do this again for another year with you guys. So that being said, one of the first things I want to do before we get into the content of this is I always like to know who is on the call with us, because we market this to a lot of different people, and every month it is a new group of folks. So I want you to take just a second and fill out this poll. Tell me who you are, because I want to know who is on the call with me today. So I'll give you all a second. It looks like we've got lots of students on this call today. I am so excited. It is normally a lot of staff, but I am so excited. We got lots of students, high school counselors, college staff. Awesome. We got a couple people that we are still waiting on, so we'll give y'all a second to jump in here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share that out so you guys can see we got some counselors, some staff, some college students. I want you students to tell me in the chat what school you're with, because I want to know where y'all are from. I saw lots of our TCC folks registered, so I'm hoping that there's a really good showing in the chat of my TCC students. But we will see, because they're always from all over the place, and I love that. All right, so a few things to go over before we get started. Please stay muted unless you have a question or I am asking for you to talk to me. This is being recorded, so it's definitely not because I don't want you to talk to me. I definitely want you to use that chat, but we want to make sure that there's as little background noise as possible. I will apologize in advance. I have a dog who's usually pretty good at just taking a nap while I do these, but sometimes he gets a little rowdy. So if you hear him in the background, just ignore him. Do definitely plan to be interactive. I want to make sure that you guys are talking to me, especially on this one, because this presentation is always way more interactive than the rest of them by design. So I want to make sure that you guys are interacting in the chat. Do remember that anything we give you are just basic guidelines here. I am not a financial counselor, so this is not financial advice. This is still your money. I am just kind of helping you, give you some tools to, get a little more in the groove and help you figure some of this out. And while we're talking about this, especially right now, because when we're talking about goals, that tends to be a very personal thing, want to make sure that we are always being respectful of other people's opinions and thoughts in the chat. Because when it comes to money, the way we were raised, our goals with money, it's always different for everybody. So I want to make sure that we're all being respectful of each other. Also, it is not on this slide, but if you are comfortable, I would love for you to put your cameras on. I love seeing your faces. If you are not in a place where you can do that, that is a-okay though. All right, so our agenda for today, we're going to start off with an activity where you talk about our goal setting. We're going to talk a little bit about SMART goals and how they not only help you be more successful, but why they are so important and how to write them for yourself. We're going to talk about some tips for all of your goals, and then we're going to talk about some ways to make it stick. So that being said, we are to our first activity, and this is something that I want you guys to do and tell me about in the chat. You can write this down on a piece of paper separately for yourself, but I want you to share out in the chat if you're comfortable. I have just given you 86,400 imaginary dollars because I don't actually have that much money, but here's the catch. I'm going to give you 5 minutes for you guys to spend it all. Now, here's the other catch, right? You cannot save it. You have to spend it. So I'm going to put 5 minutes on my timer right here, and I'm going to mute myself for a second, and I want you to tell me in the chat what you guys are spending that money on. Does everybody understand? Give me a thumbs up if you do. Awesome. All right. You have 5 minutes and go. All right, I was going to mute myself, but what you guys are saying is just entirely too good. I got to make sure that we share it out. All right, so Jane is going to take that money. She's going to pay off her car and put the rest on house. Great. Sarah is going to buy some property. Great. James, you are going to give the food bank a huge donation. You don't know this, but in a previous life, I spent a lot of time working in food banking, so that makes my heart real happy. I'm so glad to hear that. Because it is definitely work that never ends, food banking. All right. Linda, you're going to get a small house or condo, so you're not having to pay rent. I love that. That's a great idea. Jessica, you're going to pay off your car. Put the rest towards paying off your house. I think those are great investments. All right. Well, I don't even think we needed the 5 minutes because I think everybody has gotten pretty good at telling me exactly what they're going to spend all of that money on. For me, I am going to pay off some debt, but I am going to, excuse me. I am going to pay off some debt, and then I'm going to travel. And Alyssa, thank you for giving me a heads up. I thought I had everybody in the waiting room, but I did not. Thank you very much for giving me that heads up. All right. So that being said, that's what I would do with that. And the reason that that is so important, and we wanted to make sure that we spend all of that money, because if you did not catch on to it, there is 86,400 seconds in a day. So whether you were talking about your money or you were talking about your time, you have to be intentional on what you're doing with it. And those goals help, which is why we always start out with this activity, because it really gets you in that mindset of being intentional with what you're doing. All right, so let's move on, because the thing is, a goal without a plan in place is just a wish. It's not something that you're going to actually be able to accomplish if you don't have a plan in place. So we're going to talk about setting goals and putting a plan in place to accomplish those goals. All right, so what I want you guys to do is, in your head, you can share in the chat if you'd like to. I'd actually love if you do, but if you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's a-okay. I want you to define what a successful life looks like for you. Now, that can be anything you want. You go ahead. That doesn't have to be financial. That can be just as much of, spiritual or philosophical, whatever. All right. All right, Linda, you said generally being happy, functional, financially comfortable. I think those are great. And that is the same for me. I just want a good, happy life where I can travel some and take care of my financial responsibilities and just enjoy the people that I care about. Just like I said, taking a vacation every month, being debt-free, and constantly nurturing your mental health. I love it. Especially the vacation every month. I feel personally for me, being able to get away and take a vacation, even if it's like a mini trip to, Dallas on the weekend, is definitely good for the mental health, just to kind of get out of your bubble for a while. So I love that. All right. If anybody else feels like sharing, please go ahead and put it in the chat. But for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next question, which is, what does an unsuccessful life look like for you? I know that's a deep question. Feel free to share in the chat if you don't, if you want to. If you're not comfortable, that's okay too. But take a second to think about that, right? And these two questions, they do have their purpose, right? I'm not doing this just to make you think super hard and get all in your feelings. I really am doing this to make sure that you get in this mindset of, what does success look like? Because that's going to help us set our goals. All right. So unsuccessful for Linda, you said repeating the same mistakes, being unhappy, sharing your space and time with people who don't treat you well. Agreed. Sarah, you said being in debt and struggling to make ends meet. Yes, I agree. That definitely can feel like that. Okay. Having debt, not being able to take vacations. Jessica, you are a girl after my own heart. Yes, absolutely. All right, we got everyday dysfunction, chaos, living in bad habits. Absolutely. That is definitely something that can look like an unsuccessful life to someone. Okay, moving on. Now that you have kind of done that, what I want you to do, and you may need a piece of paper for this, I want you to rate your life currently, not a successful life, not unsuccessful life, currently. I want you to look at these 10 things, right? Your physical health, your emotional health, your environment, your financial health, or financial well-being, your financial life, however you want to look at that, your leisure and fun in your life, your relationship with your significant other, if you have one, your family life, your career life, your personal growth, and your spiritual growth, okay? And I want you to rate the thing you are most satisfied with currently, okay? So 10 is the thing that you are most satisfied with currently, right? And the thing that you are least satisfied with is going to be 1. And I want you to rank them from 10 to 1. I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to do that. If you feel comfortable sharing in the chat, please do. If you don't, again, you don't have to. All right. So while y'all are doing this, I'll go ahead and kind of tell you mine. So for me, the thing that I am least satisfied with right now is my physical health. This year, I've had lots of things happen because that just happens sometimes. But for me, I think the thing that I am most satisfied with right now is just my relationship, and I kind of equal tied to my emotional health, right? I feel like my mental health has been really good recently. My relationship's going really good. My partner's a really great human being. So I feel like I'm just, kind of rocking at that, right? And Jessica, yes, you are ranking your life currently, right? We looked at what a successful life looks like. We looked at what an unsuccessful life looks like. Now we're looking at your life as it is at this moment, right? And there's no right or wrong answer here. This is just what you feel like. All right. And it's okay if you don't know which one is 10. Just do the best that you can to rank them from 10 to 1, which you are most satisfied with and which you are least satisfied with currently. And again, like I said, there is no right or wrong answer. This is your life. This is kind of your internal, how you feel about it. So you kind of do what you think works for you. And I'll give y'all just another minute or so to do that. All right. All right. I like the answers that y'all are given here. Very good. And I love that there's so many of you that have personal growth. That's the thing that you are most satisfied with. That is always a good thing. And I feel like even if the other stuff is kind of out there, if you've got your personal growth going, you're doing good because then you can always move closer to those other things because you're in a mindset of personal growth. So I think that that is great. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on. Keep those in mind as we go through the rest of this activity. All right, so what I want you to think of now is when you're looking at all of those things, right? The thing you are most satisfied with, the things that you are least satisfied with, think about what would make where you currently are great. Like figure right now it's good, right? You have things that you are very satisfied with. You have some things you think you could do better. What are the things that could take you from good to great, right? You don't have to share those in the chat if you don't want to, but just look at those things that you wrote down and think about what are those things that could take you from good to great. Sometimes that going from good to great means stepping back a little from some things to be able to concentrate your time on other things. Sometimes for some of my students that I talk to, some of that is maybe not working as many hours so they can concentrate more in school, or maybe that's their financial, they need to take care of their finances. So maybe it's going down to part-time in school so they can concentrate on both at the same time without trying to do everything all at once. Personally, that could be maybe not concentrating as much on my familial health, but concentrating more on my financial health. Maybe not doing as many fun leisure things for a while so I can concentrate on something else to make that one thing really, really good. Okay, so now that you kind of have that in mind, what that thing is for you, we are going to go back to that list that you ranked from 10 to 1. Okay. That thing that you scored the highest in, what was it? The thing you were most satisfied with? Do you feel comfortable? Put it in the chat. I know several of you did already, right? Lots of people that personal growth was the thing that they are the most comfortable with. They are the most satisfied with currently, right? So that is what we would call your intrinsic priority. That is the thing that inside you require the least motivation to do. That is the thing that just comes naturally to you when it comes to making goals and priorities, right? This is the thing that you just naturally make a priority. And then that thing you scored the lowest in, the thing you were the least satisfied in, that is what we call your key priority. Okay. That is the thing that maybe you require some accountability in. Maybe in my example with my physical health, maybe I require some accountability in going to the gym more, or like meal prepping to make sure that I am concentrating more on my nutrition. For some people, if it's your finances, that might be having the accountability of a financial coach or a friend who can keep you on track to make sure that you are putting your money towards your paying off debt instead of, going on a vacation or going to spend money on a new sweater, taking that money to throw it towards your goals, keep helping you stay focused. All right, so what we're going to do now, okay, we're going to start actually looking at those things that you would like to change to improve, right? Linda, that's a great point that you just put in the chat. One of those things could be moving something else to help you get prepared to get a good job, right? Going and maybe concentrating more at school and networking to make sure that you can concentrate on getting a good job after school, because then you can focus on other things once you're done. So what I want you to do is look at these different things in your life, right? Think about those things, your relationships, your fun, your entertainment, your financial health. If you weren't one of my people who did not have personal growth as the thing that you are doing the best, think about some things that you would want to do, right? Your career, your sort of purpose, if you're looking for what that is, your environment, things that you would want to change about your environment, your health, what does that look like? Okay. So we are going to brainstorm for a second. I want you to write down, if you can, 10 things. You may not have 10 things. And that's a-okay. If you've only got 3, that's fine. Write down 3 things that you would like to do, change in the next year that would make those things that you're unsatisfied with better, to become more satisfied with those things. So that could be, I am unsatisfied with my financial health. I am unsatisfied with my physical health. So what I want to change in the next year is going to the gym more. What I want to do is concentrate on paying debt off so I can be able to take that money later on and use it towards travel or savings or investing or whatever it is I want to do. All right. So think about what those things are. I'll give you guys just a second. All right. We've got exercising more, having healthy boundaries. Do feel free to share them in the chat if you feel comfortable with what those are. I know some of the ones that I've looked into for myself this year is definitely making a concentrated effort to concentrate on my nutrition more, right? Like I want to make sure that I'm eating better. I want to make sure that I am concentrating more on my financial goals versus setting financial goals and then just kind of winging it and seeing what you can do, being much more intentional. So I'll give y'all just another moment to look and see what those things are for you. Right, Melody, you said exercise more, strengthen your savings account, eating healthier. Those are all really good ones. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and move on. Here's the thing with your goals though, right? You can't just say, I'm going to exercise more, or I'm going to put more money in savings, or I'm going to eat healthier. Why? Because we need to have a plan, A. B, we have to be able to keep ourselves accountable. And you can't just, I'm going to work out more. That's not holding yourself accountable, right? That's just a statement. That is like the wish that we talked about in the beginning, that you want to work out more. So the best way to do that is to take those goals that you set for yourself and make them SMART. Okay. And what I mean by SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And I'll explain what that means for each of those here in a second. All right. So specific, what exactly do you want to achieve? Okay. Make sure that your goals are clear and defined. A general goal like, I am going to eat healthier is not clear and defined, right? That could mean 100 different things, okay? Your specific should answer the what, when, why, how, or who, if who is a part of the equation, okay? So think about that. Those goals that you wrote down, what is the what, when, why, and how of what you need to do to accomplish that? Okay. The next part is it has to be measurable. So you got to ask yourself, how will I know when I've achieved this? Got to put a number to it, right? Something that you can actually measure. You need to be able to have data to track your progress. I know I am definitely not a numbers person, which is ironic considering that I'm a financial educator, but math is not my thing. I don't like numbers, but numbers help you figure out once you've reached your goal, right? And they help you find out how close you've gotten. So they're kind of a necessary evil sometimes if you are not a numbers person. Okay, they need to be achievable, right? Your goal, how can you accomplish this goal, right? Is it challenging but still possible? Okay, you are not going to be able to go from being a couch potato to being able to, run touchdowns like Travis Kelce does in, 6 months' time. That is physically not possible. Can you improve and get better so many years down the line once you've been continually building? Could you probably do that? Yeah, probably you could, but you're not going to be able to do it in a short period of time. So make sure that it is something that challenges you, that stretches you and gets you out of your comfort zone, but it's something that's actually still possible. Right? And then list all of the specific tasks or resources you need to complete that goal, right? If your goal is to get a college degree, the specific tasks and resources you need are being able to have a school to go to, having your degree program and being able to follow it, right? Those are some specific resources you need. So you may need to be able to talk to an academic counselor and have them help walk you through that process of what that looks like getting there. It also needs to be realistic, right? Why is this goal important to you? Is it important because someone else thinks it's something you need to do? Or is it important because it matters to you, right? Does this help add to your plans for the future? Right? When I decided I wanted to go back to get my master's degree, I didn't want to go back and get a degree in communications, which is what my undergraduate degree is in. I love communications, but that wasn't what I wanted. What I realized was that I really wanted to shift into education. I wanted to be a trainer. I wanted to be able to do what I'm doing right now. And how I was able to do that was I went back and I got my master's degree in education. I went back and took classes and took training and learned how to do what I'm doing now, right? So that's just one example of, does the goal you have help add to your plans to the future, right? Getting a master's degree is great, but does it actually add and enhance your ability to achieve what you're wanting to do in the future? Okay. And then they also need to be timely. When do you want to achieve this goal? Okay. How much time can I reasonably dedicate to achieving this goal? And set a target date so you can guide yourself towards success, right? If you say, I want to lose weight, right? When? By how? At what time? You going to lose weight in 6 months? You going to lose weight in 6 years? Are you going to lose weight in a month? Like, what is your time period? Okay. Because the thing is, we as humans, if we don't put a number on it and give ourselves a deadline, sometimes we are just not motivated to do the thing, right? But it still has to be realistic. You're not going to lose 100 pounds in a month. Physically impossible. Could you lose 100 pounds in a year? Yeah, I've had friends that have done it. But you have to set yourself goals and timelines to hold yourself accountable. So as you're looking at those goals, those brainstorm the things that you want to improve, okay? Go back and look at those things and set aside goals that are timely, okay? So as I mentioned with the losing weight, right? Instead of I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to lose 20 pounds by January 1st. Okay, maybe that's a little unrealistic for this current date, but I'm going to lose 20 pounds by January 1st of 2025 by tracking my food intake and making myself go for a walk for 15 minutes every day. Okay. Do y'all see the difference here about the difference between a goal and a SMART goal, right? It tells you exactly what the plan is within the goal, and it helps keep you accountable. All right. Same thing. I'm going to save an emergency fund, right? How about I'm going to save $100 a month by cutting out that much money in expenses so I can have a small $1,000 emergency fund within 10 months. Okay? That tells you the who, the what, the why, and the how. Right? That tells you exactly what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. So you have a timeline. Okay, now let's look at all of those goals, right? Because some of you had several of them, some of you only had a couple. Which is the one goal that will make all of the others possible? Okay, so for me is concentrating on my nutrition and going and making my meal prepping every week. So I have better meal selections that are healthier. Is that going to help me reach the rest of my goals? Losing weight, making my health better? Yeah, it is. So that's the thing that for me, I would need to concentrate on and make my first goal or first priority, right? That's not that you can't have those other things as your priorities, but you need to ask yourself, which is the thing that needs to be your first goal to help you accomplish all of those other things. And then set a plan in place to get those things done. And Linda, I do see your question. I will answer you here in just a little bit. Okay, so here's some tips on staying motivated on your SMART goals and getting to your goals, okay? First, be strategic. As I mentioned, what's the one goal that helps you accomplish all the others? Right? I always tell this story. My actual predecessor here at OKMM, my former colleague, she always tells the story when we're talking about budgeting, but I think it works really good when we're talking about goals too. So here's the story, and this is a true to life story. So at one point in her life, she was a single mom, 3 kids, and she was living paycheck to the day after paycheck and didn't have any money to her name until she got paid again 2 weeks later. It was really, really rough financially. Well, she got to the point where she couldn't even afford to go get children's Motrin for her son because he was sick. She had no extra money. She didn't have any money in savings. She was maxed out on all her credit cards. And she was like, I don't know what to do here. So what she did was she set herself a goal. After that situation had passed itself, she said, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. My goal is I'm going to put an emergency fund together. And so she started with a super tiny strategic goal. How much does a bottle of children's Motrin cost? Okay, $10, $15. All right, I am going to save $10 or $15. That is my first goal, right? And then she broke that goal down. And then once she was able to do that, she was able to roll it into other things. And eventually she achieved this big, huge goal, right? And having this emergency fund then allowed her to save up money to start making extra payments on her debt to be able to pay things off. Now, many years later, her and her now husband had just bought a house. They just were able to do a lot of other things. So it is strategic, right? It was strategic of she needed to get this thing in place before everything else happened. So think about those things, what thing it is that will allow you to get to those other goals and will kind of help you snowball those goals, right? Get accountable. And Linda, this will help you. Your question was any tips on how to motivate yourself when making yourself a deadline isn't enough? Yes, get an accountability partner of some sort. Now, For you, this could look like something completely different than it is for me, right? When it comes to our finances, my best friend and I have been each other's accountability partners for 20 years now. And we will check in and we will give each other the cold, hard truth, right? She spends money on something stupid. I look at her and be like, that was stupid. Why did you spend your money on that? You know that that's not what you're wanting to spend your money on. Why are you doing that? Right? And she does the same for me when I get into something and I'm not doing what I should be or want to be doing to be reaching my goals. So get someone that'll keep you accountable. You can also visualize things, and that can look like a lot of different things for a lot of different people, right? That could look like to-do lists. Sometimes checking things off your to-do list can help you be motivated, right? If you see it in front of your face, it can help you get those tasks done that will get you closer to that goal, right? Make it in the same place every day, the same time every day, because it will help get you into the routine of getting that done and getting motivated to do those things, right? Brainstorm every task that needs to be done. This especially works well if you have ADHD. I do also. And there are some times that instead of like doing the dishes or cleaning the kitchen, I literally will write down, wash every single dish and put it in the dishwasher, or wipe down the counters. And that's not because I'm not smart enough to comprehend exactly what that means, but it helps keep you from getting overwhelmed, and it gives you these teeny tiny little steps to get things done, right? My mom's favorite saying when I would get really overwhelmed as a kid, when there was a lot of stuff going on and I had a lot of stuff to do, was she would say, you can't eat an entire elephant in one sitting. You have to take it one bite at a time. And that made a lot of sense. So when it comes to those goals and keeping yourself motivated, sometimes just having that little list of little steps that you can take, little mini sub goals, will help you accomplish that larger goal down the line. And even if it maybe takes you a little bit longer, you can look back and you can see those little bitty things that you have accomplished, and it helps keep you motivated to accomplish more things, right? Some other tips when you have that to-do list: circle any item that has to be addressed this week. Put a star next to the stuff that has to be done today. That'll help you prioritize. And that goes into that being strategic, right? What are those things that need to get done to make the other things happen, right? And then every day on that list, add 2 or 3 small steps that will help you move you forward on that list towards that goal, right? Keep that list with you at all times. Mine sits on my phone all the time, so I can see it at any point. It is always with me, right? And review and revisit that list every day, once a week, whatever works for you, to make sure that you're actually keeping yourself accountable, right? You're seeing it. One of my favorite quotes is, watch your actions for they become habits. Watch your habits for they become your character. Watch your character because it becomes who you are. That was, of course, from Margaret Thatcher. And the reason I share that is because your habits have a lot to do with whether you can accomplish your goals or not, right? Consistency is key with a lot of these things. And I know we talked about motivation, right? How do you stay motivated? Sometimes you can keep yourself motivated by having little triggers to help you get into that repetition cycle. We talk about habits, making these habits happen. These 2 books I personally have read, and I think that they are phenomenal as far as explaining how to get those habits in place so you can get closer to reaching those goals. Talk about making it a habit, right? Repeating it plus doing it consistently equals the results that you're looking for. But to help you stay on task, have some sort of trigger to start your routine, because eventually it will become the consistency that will become the results. For example, you want to get up every morning and go to the gym, but you will get up and you're like, I'm tired, I need coffee, I don't want to do this. Well, maybe putting your running shoes and your workout clothes right next to your bed, so it's the first thing you see in the morning, is your trigger. Now, that doesn't work for everybody. That's just an example. But that's your trigger, right? You see it every morning and you're like, okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. And eventually it becomes a habit. But You just have to take time to get it to happen. I highly recommend both of those books. They're really good at figuring out how to kind of break down setting yourself up for habits, especially if habits are not something that comes easy to you. Right? Make sure you're visualizing your goals. Studies show that you are way, way more likely to accomplish your goals if you physically see them in front of your face to remind you. Right? You can do that in a lot of different ways. You can make yourself a vision board. If you've done any kind of like Lean Six Sigma training, there's what's called a Kanban board, and it looks very similar to this board here on the side, right? This is what I need to accomplish this week. This is what I need to accomplish this month. These are the things that I need to focus on. My coworkers actually laugh at me because when I'm actually at my office, I have a board and it literally says, here's what I have going on this week. Here's the things I need to keep in mind. And then I have 3 boxes on that board. What I need to do, what I'm in process of doing, and what I've accomplished. And what that does is that helps me not only stay motivated because I see what I've done, but it also helps remind me what I still need to do so I don't forget and I can get in a habit of accomplishing a little bit more on those every single day. Okay, here's some extra tips that definitely help. Make sure you believe in yourself and speak positive words to yourself. It sounds really cheesy, but it is absolutely true. Our internal dialogue has a lot to do with whether we achieve those goals or not, and help us stay motivated or not. Surround yourself with people who are positive, successful, and ambitious, who will help push you, even if they're not physically pushing you to do it. By being around them, you will pick up on their energy and they will motivate you to do those things that you need to do. Stay organized. Now, as someone with ADHD, I can confidently say my being organized is completely different than someone who does not have ADHD, but staying organized helps. Even if it's just organization that makes sense to you, find something that makes sense to you to help you stay organized, because that will help you get closer to those goals. Be intentional with your time. This is a big one, right? You can use things that sometimes you get time sucked into your phone. You start doom scrolling down Facebook, or Instagram reels are just the worst, and TikTok. I will get lost in them for hours if I let myself. Learn to say no. This is a big one, y'all, especially when you get out, you're working, you've got the kids and the partner and the work responsibilities and the school, and you got all these things. Sometimes you just need to say no. We talked about good to great, right? Sometimes you need to say no to the things that are good in order to focus your time on the things that will make it great. And there are ways to do that. You can even say, you know, I'm so sorry, I have this other priority right now that I have to take care of. Okay. And leave the past in the past. If you've ever seen me talk about budgeting, I always say that it is a marathon, not a sprint. And that is just life in general, right? The truth is that you're going to make mistakes. You might flub up and completely mess up going towards your goal. Well, you know, take the punch on the chin. Okay, I messed up, but now I'm going to do better, and leave the past in the past. Don't sit and ruminate over mistakes that you've made, because they're not helping you get any closer to your future. Just work on finding a way to make yourself more accountable. One of the things I love, there is a budget blogger out there. You've probably heard me talk about her if you've ever been on one of these webinars before. Her name is The Budget Mom. I myself am not a mom, but I love the way she breaks stuff down. She makes it super duper easy. And one of the things that she uses to help her readers is visualizing paying off debt or saving. She's got these printouts that you can put on there, and they help you to be able to visually see what you're doing. So even if you mess up, it helps you focus on the future, right? It helps you see what you have accomplished versus maybe, you know, you ended up putting more on your credit card when you didn't mean to, or you had an emergency happen, so you had to open up your emergency fund. Okay, well, cool, start over again. It happens. Okay, some other options to make it stick, right? Get your family involved. If you are a person that has a family, you know, you're not a single student, you have, you know, kids or a spouse, get them involved. have them help you get to that goal, right? Give yourself positive reinforcement. For me, one of my biggest worst habits was I would go get coffee like every single morning. And there's nothing wrong with going and getting coffee, right? I am not the financial educator that's going to tell you that Starbucks is the reason that you can't buy a house. It is something that we all enjoy, right? Being able to maybe swing through a coffee shop. But it is something you have to be intentional about. So maybe if you go the entire month or the entire paycheck with getting your coffee at home, maybe on payday you treat yourself to your like fancy latte that you want, right? As I mentioned earlier, make a vision board. Keep it in front of your face. It helps stay motivated. It helps remind you why you're doing what you're doing, right? Tell your friend, get yourself an accountability partner, get yourself a coach of some sort, and track your progress. You know, you see on the side of the road when the United Way is doing their fundraising that they've got that thermometer right on the side of the road that shows you how they get closer and closer and closer to their goal. Make yourself one. Show yourself a little bit at a time how you're getting closer to your goal. It'll help make things way easier for you. All right. Here's some apps to help. I don't know about you, but I'm an app person. I live and die by my phone. So here's some apps that can help you with this. Awesome Note and Strides. Trello, I really like because it allows you to do those sort of visual boards like I was talking about, but on your phone in an app. Remember the Milk is a great app if you're trying to goal plan with another person. It helps with lists. You can do like grocery lists, things like that, to where it is on both people's phones. So you can sync those lists up. Google Keep is a great way. To-do list app, To Doodle Do. Time Tree is actually one that my partner and I use. At one point, we were like ships flying in the night. He was working nights, I was working days, and Time Tree helped us stay connected as far as what we were doing, how things were going, and it helped us sync up our schedules so we could find out, when we were available to work together on things that we were trying to work towards. And then there's also Rescue Time. I know a lot of the phones now actually have where you can go in and see where you're spending all your screen time, but I like Rescue Time because it definitely shows you where you are wasting your time on your phone or your iPad or whatever it is that you have. And it helps you figure out what that is so you can be more intentional about not wasting your time doing those things. All right, so this QR code right here will give you our Your Money Matters guide. This is a book that we put together, and it talks all about, there's some goal setting in there. There is budgeting and credit and all kinds of information there. So you are welcome to download that. And again, if you've never been on one of these before, I will send out the slides and the recording within about a week. After this, there is a holiday, so it might be a little bit later, but within the next 2 weeks, you will get this recording. Here are some great resources to help you with those goals, right? There is our website, oklahomamoneymatters.org. Some things I personally love. NerdWallet is a great resource. The Budget Mom, who I mentioned, I love the Budgetnista. She's really easy to understand and has a really, really good insight into becoming financially whole, as well as Ramsey Solutions. Dave Ramsey and his team, are kind of a standard in this industry. Good Budget is a great budgeting app that you can utilize to help manage your budget, as well as Budget Bites. And then if you are in need of community resources, because sometimes having that help hand up will help you get closer to your goals, there is OKDHS Live, which is where you can apply for things like SNAP benefits and WIC. And other community resources like that. And this tiny URL down here at the bottom is actually our free cash envelopes that you can download. So if you are wanting to do cash stuffing or something like that to help you get to your financial goals, you can download those for free. This is my contact information. So anybody who did not have it, if you have questions after this, or stuff you did not want to ask in front of the group, please feel free to shoot me an email. We travel a lot. So email is definitely the fastest way to get a hold of me because I have my email on my phone. So if you need me, please feel free to reach out. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions, please throw them in the chat now. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but I will stay here for a second to answer any questions that you have.